everyone. Welcome to Crazy Old Folk. And today, as always, I want to introduce you to Mr. Kenneth Lean, who I am so proud to have as co-host on Crazy Old Folk. And if you've been following us, you know that Ken really cares about things. Ken is an author. He is a poet. He is a playwright, among a few other things. And we'll talk about those in the future. But today I heard that Ken has something he really wanted to focus on. So hi,
Yeah.
Ken.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you, but I had to get some stuff out
Oh, it's all true.
there.
Folks, I'm a certifiable crazy old folk, and that's more important. You know, Monica, over the years that you and I have been doing various forms of podcasting or whatever we call this, we've talked about some very important topics, and we've raised issues about things that other people, didn't even know existed. We've talked about a lot about Native Americans and how,
Yes.
and some things that nobody else has ever talked about in terms of them. The other
And some
one,
great guests also. Yeah.
and one of the things you know about me, and some folks do and some don't, is that I'm very, very interested in Africa these days.
Yes.
And I've been involved in, you mentioned playwriting. My co-author for a lot of those plays is a Nigerian who is in Nigeria. I
That's
also
fascinating. We can do that nowadays,
I'm
Ken.
also very involved in South Sudan. In fact, I helped write a memoir with a fellow named Deng Atem, who is from South Sudan, and he's joined us. And the other day, I was struck by some news. Well, the news out of South Sudan is always pretty horrible. But historically, the United States has been a well-meaning helper for South Sudan, even in the face of some of its worst problems and some issues about human rights and things. But in the current administration, the other day, they decided to stop all visas, all for all South Sudanese. They basically were returning all South Sudanese.
Yeah.
Why? Well, it turns out, I mean, there are numbers of issues, and I can talk about others, but the
Mhm.
immediate issue was that there was a particular person that the Trump administration wanted to send back to South Sudan. And South Sudan said they couldn't take him.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to say right up front, South Sudan eventually found its way out of this dilemma. They did the only rational thing, which, when dealing with the Trump administration, was that they acted rationally. Their problem is that the person that the Trump administration wanted to deport to South Sudan isn't South Sudanese.
Yeah.
He's not South Sudanese.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not South Sudanese. The South Sudanese government kept trying to tell the Trump administration they do not understand that there are different countries in Africa.
I know.
That's how stupid they are.
It's
This
so very
gentleman,
sad.
this gentleman is Congolese.
Pitiful.
It's Congolese, which is another separate country.
Exactly.
Would somebody please tell our current Secretary of State that the Congo and South Sudan are separate countries? Please, somebody tell him.
It's embarrassing.
Now,
It is so
but
embarrassing.
it gets more awful. Okay. The person that they eventually decided that they would send, and what South Sudan did was said, look, if you send him to us, we will help him to get back to his home country. That's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. What else could they do? Yeah.
Like I said, they acted like adults, they acted like rational. There's only one little problem. The person that the US government identified and sent to is deporting to South Sudan, where he is not a citizen, so that they
Exactly.
can help repatriate him to the Congo, is a different person than the one that they named in the documents. They
Oh
didn't
my
get
word.
the name right.
Oh my word.
Now, would somebody please tell our esteemed Homeland Security apparatus and ICE that people actually have identities? There are real people, and those people are not interchangeable.
Ugh,
If I go to McDonald's and I order a French fries, they hand me one from the rack. They're all identical. It doesn't matter. But if I go into McDonald's and ask for John, and they pick up Susan and throw her in front of me, that's not the same thing. Now, I understand that there are some cognitive deficits in Washington. Or to put it nicely, well, not so nicely, they're friggin' dumb. And that's always been the case. That's part of why we have due process. Okay.
Dewey.
Now, we have a person in El Salvador suffering in a jail, or maybe they're dead because
I
the US
know.
government
This
won't
is
return
sad.
them.
Yeah.
He was not what they decided he was, but they didn't do due process. Now, I don't know how any of these things are going to end, but I'm going to ask people, please, please speak out. Speak out. Okay. We have become a laughing stock. But worse than that, we have become a center for the rejection. We have become the country in which human rights are being trampled on. We have a totalitarianist, please hashtag totalitarianist,
Yeah. Get it out
Donald
there.
J.
Let
Trump in the
next
White House who is trampling on people's rights. And you know what? You might be next. They're
in
already
this
floating the idea that they can send Americans to prison in other countries.
look at
Why?
their goal, Ken. Their goal is to stay in power forever.
Their
So
goal,
to do that, they need to get rid of people who are against them. And they're going to try their best to brainwash people into thinking that anyone that is not a supportive of them is the enemy. And that's what's coming if we keep letting things happen and don't stand up.
I think you're right, Monica, but I will put this caveat in. I don't think they're that smart.
Ah,
If they don't know the difference between South Sudan and Congo, if they can't
well,
identify
no, they're
by name,
idiots. He
yeah,
didn't put
they're idiots, folks.
the truth is he did not put people into office for their intelligence or their knowledge or their experience. He put them in for whoever had the most money to donate to him. and
That's another topic for another day, because
and we need
otherwise
to
you
talk
and
about
I
that.
can go on and on and on. But for today, folks, please, hashtag totalitarianist, due process, hashtag due process.
Yes.
And please, if you know anybody who works in the White House in Washington, just send them an email reminding them that Congo, South Sudan, different countries. Okay, different countries. Look at your map.
People too, Ken.
Look at people's identities. Please, we're not interchangeable bags of chips.
No.
And speaking of chips, that brings up one more thing. Okay. Folks, if your chips are on the table supporting the tariffs, I think you're in the process of losing to the bank. Well, no, the banks are going to lose too. I don't know who the heck is going to
Then
win.
we're going to be out on the street. So many people,
Yeah.
especially the elderly, the retired, we will
So
be on
let's,
the streets, and these people are cheering it on. They're hurting their own grandparents.
okay, now we need to talk about tariffs next. So, folks, just keep on listening because Monica and I
Yes.
are going to talk about all these sadly important things.
Yeah. And share our little chats. We want to get the word out.
Have a good one, folks.
Bye bye. Till next time.